Hey legends, what's up? It's Darkmech here from Big Dumb Gaming, and the Mage Tower's out, and it's a little bit different from PTR to live. Woof. Yeah, a bit of a shock. So I am going to do a commentary through my live kill video, as I've been getting a lot of questions about it. On that, I got a lot of YouTube comments that I'm doing my very best to reply to, and I'm trying to do it as quickly as I can. Same with Discord DMs. Please don't continue to abuse me if I don't get to your question quick enough. I am doing my best. Just stop being a fucking jackass if I don't get to you in a matter of hours. I am doing my best. So in this video, I'm going to cover off the talents I used, consumables, and I'm going to walk you through the fight. I don't want to make it super long or anything like that. I'm also going to cover off the 2 sets of gear that I had because I've been sort of copping it about using a time walking set when I had low percent wipes with both of them. And the other thing is, the footage that was used in the guide video was from the PTR. It was obviously from the PTR. I said it was from the PTR several times through the video. And I had a bunch of comments there from people saying that I was trying to pass that off as live footage, even though it was released the day before the Mage Tower came out. So now that it's out, now that I've killed it on live, I just wanted to do a video to cover off the differences, because yes, the fight is 100% different from PTR to live, but all the principles for executing the fight are still exactly the same. It's just tuned very, very, very tightly now and wound pretty strong. So let's start off covering off the talents wise. Let's start at talents. Okay, so talents wise that I used: Brambles, Renewal, Balance Affinity, Heart of the Wild, Incarn, Survival, and Rend and Tear. So the reason that I went with Heart of the Wild instead of Mighty Bash is absolutely better in phase 2. Zero questions asked. My big thing with Heart of the Wild in phase 1 was trying to push through to Cruel with only 1 Infernal up. And I did that quite a few times, but on my kill video, I was actually a little bit sloppy, and I end up going through to Cruel with 2 Infernals. But having 1 Infernal up in phase 2 is really, really nice when you're trying to dodge cutter beams and think about everything else, to only have 1 Infernal smash to worry about versus having 2 or even 3 or something like that. So that is the reason that I went with Heart of the Wild. Renewal over Wild Charge. Wild Charge is another really nice safety factor you can have. I just like the 30% heal that comes off Renewal, so I stuck with Renewal, and the rest is all pretty self-explanatory. So they're the talents that I ran with. Now, looking at my gear, so this was my Shadowlands gear, okay, that I had several low percent wipes, and I'm talking like 4 and 3% wipes in my Shadowlands gear. Now, my Shadowlands gear, when I zoned into the tower, and there's pictures on the screen right now, my Shadowlands gear was 11,068 HP, agility 293, stamina 567, crit 13.83%, haste 14.32%, versatility was 15.75 and 7.88%, mastery was 8.44%, and my leech was 6%. So this was my Shadowlands gear, so I'm not going to bother, running through it because it's all pretty current stuff and people would know what it is. So that was my Shadowlands gear. Now, if I load up my time walking set that I used, and this is the exact gear that I killed the challenge in, when I'm in the tower with my Shadowlands gear on, I had 11,169 health. My agility was 304. My stamina was 566. My critical strike was 17.2%. My haste was 17.39%. My versatility was 11.42 and 5.71%. Mastery was 9.63%. And my leech was 2.06%. So there isn't a magnanimous mountain of difference between those stats. However, I certainly did favor the time walking set slightly. Primary stat is far more valuable in the tower due to the way that secondaries were scaled down, so the extra agility was nice. But when I say extra agility, it's 11 extra agility, okay? It's not groundbreaking or anything like that. What happened with me was I had several 3-4% wipes in my Shadowlands gear, and then I was just like, I just want whatever extra edge I can get to get there. Now, lots of people have completed this challenge in Shadowlands Gear because they just executed the challenge better than I did. Hands down. I needed things that covered up some of my mistakes, which I made quite a few. Covering off my time walking gear here, I went and bought the Crafted Dreadful Gladiators set. Okay, well, not the set. I bought 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I bought 6 pieces, and then I filled them with 3 agility gems because I didn't want to spend the money on 4 agility. And I didn't care that much. So I bought these. I put 3 agility gems in them, and then I bought I think it's the Primal Agile, Primal Diamond, which doesn't come with any gem color requirements to be able to be active, which is 3 agility and 3 increased critical strike. So that's where, you know, a large percent of my crit came from. In my time walking gear, it was 17.2%. In my Shadowlands gear, it was 13.83%. In my Pride As, so if you had a Pride As from Legion, it's nice because it's got a bunch of secondaries on it and it's got a socket. So on that, I put a Leviathan's Eye, which gave me 7 agility. And then the rest was all Shadowlands gear, which just the verse gems in them. Trinkets wise, this was a big one. So trinket wise, they fixed Decanter. Decanter does shit damage. They fixed the ocular gland. It was giving you like massive amounts of versatility. And I couldn't even kill it when I had that because I just wasn't very good. So I couldn't use that. And they fixed Dragon Spine Trophy as well. So trinkets I went with was the Reactive Defense Matrix. And then I pulled this Heirloom trinket out because I can't believe I didn't think about it sooner. Tooth Warhorn. Now it procs strength, which is crap. We get nothing from that. However, it's got 3 secondaries on it. And the big one is 10% extra damage to demons for 15 seconds. You can extend it by getting a killing blow, which means you've got a decent chance to be able to extend it through phase 1 with the ads and the eyes. Phase 2, it loses quite a bit of its value on Cruel, and I don't even know if I got a proc on it in phase 2. We'll have a look on the video when we cover it. But one of the where am I going? Where's Heirlooms? Here. One of the other ones that would be far more valuable if you've got it is the Infallible Tracking Charm on Cruel. Towards the end, because you'll only get 5 seconds of your 10% damage, but you'll get this the instant damage out of it as well. So the Infallible Tracking Charm probably better for Cruel, but this is Giga. This is really, really good. So I used the Warhorn as well with this, which was an heirloom item that came out in WoD from Dungeons, I believe, if I remember that right back there. So that was the gear setup that I used, guys. Okay, consumables wise, just going to bring up the video because that's going to be the easiest way to tell you what consumables I used. So consumables that I used Steak a la Mode because I was out of Borealis Blood Sausage by now. So I was just using the Versatility Shadowlands food that was in my bag. Veiled Augment Room for my 5 primary stat. I was using Shadow Core Oil. I was using Greater Flask of the Currents, so the BFA Flask. I was using a War Scroll of Intellect, Battle Shout, and Fortitude. I would have been using a Pot of Unbridled Fury as well, as Pot of Unbridled Fury is doing a lot of damage at the moment. However, I forget to pot in my kill attempt, so I don't use a single pot through the kill attempt. And I use drums as well. And remember, any drums work in this as well, so just buy whatever drums are the cheapest on the auction house. So that was what I used. One further thing I will mention, because it's in a number of the guides, but it just doesn't seem to be working, is if I go back into game, I at one stage was using Hellscream's Pig Stick, and I had a 6 and a 7 agility gem in there, so there's a lot of agility on that polearm, and it was enchanted with Dancing Steel. However, I was getting 0 Dancing Steel procs, none whatsoever. So I don't know if Dancing Steel is busted or something is wrong with that, but I just ended up sticking with Destiny's Call. The secondaries from Destiny's Call are really nice too, and I like being an Angel of Death when I transform. All right, so let's check out the video. And let's cover this off. So, we're in here. Varus, here is my gear. You can see on the screen right here. So, pausing, that's the time walking set, same as I just showed you before. So, nothing different there. I've got my Loom trinket on, again, fighting 2 demons. It's really nice. Varus, now, nice little tip here straight away on Varus for you guys. If you start off with Varus up the back here, and you pull him onto Valen, which is great, and you get extra damage out of Valen. But what you'll get is generally 2 Mind Rend casts, and then he'll cast a Drain Life. If you come up to here, like even with Corvus, and just move in a little bit, you'll get like 4 Mind Rend casts before he'll do a Drain Life. So if you're going with the Heart of the Wild strat, you get a lot more Star Surge, You get a lot more Star Surges, and I don't even know how to play a Balanced Druid. Sorry. You get a lot more, what are they called? So I double Wrath, Starfires and Star Surges into him via this way. So he would cast a Drain Life generally now. I've jumped forward a little bit. I'm level with Corvus, and now I'm able to get like an extra round of casts on before he goes into Drain Life. So that's just something that you can do if you're going to go down this route to get that little bit of extra damage in to Varus. So I'll just show you again while I'm not prattling on trying to remember the names of things. So I've Heart of the Wild, done my double Wrath, my double Starfire, and then my Star Surge. And then I just rinse repeat this because I can. Now you can see I haven't got up here at the moment. Let's pause it. I have not got a single heirloom proc or anything like that. So I'm not doing 10% extra damage to him or anything like that. Managed to get him down to about 80% before I have to go in and interrupt. Now I haven't set my focus interrupt, so that's pretty bad. So I charge in an interrupt. Now I come out of the circle. Now my plan here was I got 23 seconds of Heart of the Wild. What I wanted to do was bang that Heart of the Wild into him in Boomy form and then Incarn. Now I kind of mess up a little bit. I do my Skull Bash and I come out and then I Incarn with the Horrors. Now with the Horrors, Barkskin is going to be up pretty much every single one, and so is Incap Raw. Barkskin with Brambles does a really good job at dealing really decent damage to the ads. So I'm in Incarn here with Barkskin going, and they pretty much melt. So then what I do, I was at 2 stacks of Aura of Decay here. I should have waited for this to drop by 1 second, then gone in and got a full 4 seconds on Varus, a full 4 stacks with Varus with Incarn up. Instead, I jumped in, I get like a couple of seconds on Varus with Incarn, and now I basically waste my entire Incarn, which is really, really bad. So I switch back out to Boomy form, and I'm dealing as much damage as I can because I got a little bit of Heart of the Wild left, but really not the play. Drain Life goes to go off. I use Typhoon to knock that back. Thank you, Balance Affinity. The ads are spawning. So now I'm just going to go and tag as many ads as I can. I'm putting Moonfire on all of the eyes as well. And now I'm just going to collect the ads. Now, when you do not have Incarn for the ads, you're going to have Incap Raw for every single one and Barkskin, as I said. What you're going to do, generally going to have Barkskin, what you're going to do is this Netherstorm cast, right? That takes 3 seconds to like power up, we'll call it. You need to wait for it to get to the end. Then when it actually starts casting the Netherstorm, that's when you're going to Incap Raw. You're going to do it on the edge of Aura of Decay. That's going to interrupt Varus. And when you do it when they're actually casting the storm, it will mean that they don't recast it straight away. If you do it early, however, they will recast it straight away, and then you will be forced to use an orb or a cooldown or something like that that you don't want to do. So Varus went for a Drain Life there. I really should have gone in and interrupted him. Instead, I took an orb. Generally, you want to go through to phase 2 with 2 orbs up. If you can go through to phase 2 with 3 orbs up, you're in a really, really good position. So again, 5 stacks of Aura of Decay, 4 to 5 stacks. I'm jumping out. I'm just trying to put as much damage into Varus as I can yet again. And then the ads are spawning. So trying to get dots on the ads. Drain Life's going to go off here. So I'm just going to Typhoon him out of the way. I'm going to come to the edge of Aura Decay here. And I am going to Incap Raw. Waited for them to start the cast. Nice. No recast again. Generally fairly easy to kill. I'm going to dance around out here for a little bit. And then I'm going to go back into Varus, just watching where the Infernals are. And now I'm just starting to have a look at how much time I've got left before another set of ads are going to spawn, because the last thing you want to do is get Varus to a pushing point where you are going to push him via your dots, and then Cruel's going to come down and you're going to have 4 ads spawn. So I was in a little bit of trouble there, having to go back in and got 6 stacks because I had to go back in for an interrupt because I didn't have any other way to interrupt Varus. So I just ran out and got an orb. So I've still got 2 orbs left at the moment. Horrors, this is not a good position to be in. So I Incap Raw here, but I Incap Rawed early. Now this caused me to get an orb, which I didn't want to have to do. So Incap Raw here comes off. Sorry, I went too far back then. No, I didn't. I know what I'm doing. Shut up. Here it is. Here's what I'm looking for. So I Incap Raw early here, and you can see they all just go to restart the cast again. Drain Life goes off, means I'm forced to get one of the orbs that I wanted to save because I wanted 2 going into Cruel. So unlucky, but it still shows that you're able to do this if you go into Cruel with only 1 orb up. So Cruel's down. I am going to pop my drums. I forget to pot. And I'm going nuts on Cruel. Just trying to get as much damage into Cruel as I can. And I still haven't got a proc yet from my Loom on Cruel. We'll just keep an eye. Cruel's only just come down, but we'll keep an eye on that. First Annihilate's coming off. I've got an Iron Fur by 3 stacks on that. So my first Annihilate is Iron Fur. Second Annihilate is Iron Fur and Barkskin. Third Annihilate is Survival Instincts. Fourth Annihilate is Barkskin and Survival Instincts. So I'm going to bring him over to an orb, and then I probably should have waited a little bit longer. Now, this is where it gets really hard, okay? Because there's a lot going on here, and you're starting to get all, antsy in your pantsy. Ads were spawning. What would have been better to do here was wait for the ads to come in to me, and then orbed with the ads under Cruel. Would have allowed me to cleave the ads down on Cruel a little bit and delay, just using that orb just that little bit longer for that little bit of extra damage. So here come the ads. So Cruel jumps. So now I have to go and grab these ads. The Netherstorm's going to go off. I incap Roar. I incap Roar too early. They go straight for a recast, which means I have to dive into an orb. The other problem you're going to have is Corvus is always going to trail Cruel. If you have that Netherstorm going off and you Typhoon it away, for example, it will most likely punt onto Corvus and it'll melt him. If you're trying to run away, Corvus will just run right through the middle and die. So you need to be really careful of that. So I had to go and sink an orb into it. I've got Iron Fur and Barkskin up for this Annihilate here for my second hit. Incarn's just come back up, so now I'm popping Incarn. I now have a Demon Bane proc on Cruel, so I've got one, so 10% extra damage going into Cruel from me there. So just trying to get as much damage into him as I possibly can. With the cutter beams as well, guys, I changed direction here. With the cutter beams, try and run around them if you can. Otherwise, make sure you're just jumping over single lines of them. Don't try and jump over multiples where they cross and things like that. Otherwise, you'll generally jump and then you'll get pushed another way by the second one coming through. And that's when you'll generally end up getting hit by infernals or into green pools and missing orbs and things like that. So I'm just really keeping an eye on where these infernals are, just trying to make sure I move out of the way of them. Netherstorm going off, so I incap Roar that one, and I managed to kill them up. And then I run into this orb, which was really early. I should have waited, and then run into the orb on this Annihilate cast. Third Annihilate there, so using my Survival Instincts. Twisted Reflection going up. I've got my Focus macro, so just using that to hit him. Again, just trying to sink as much damage into Cruel as I can. Now, ads coming out. Now, I want to use this orb with these ads. So, ads in, sinking into the orb now. I've got Incap Roar up for when we come out. Just trying to kill these ads as easy as I can. Then using Incap Roar. Now, I was early on Incap Roar there. So, it was this and came over the top of this Annihilate. This could have been really nasty. So, because of being early on the Annihilate, early on the Incap Roar, I put myself under a lot more pressure here than I had to. I had the fourth Annihilate hit coming in, but the fourth Annihilate wouldn't have taken me as low if the Netherstorm wasn't going off as well. So I incap just early on this Netherstorm, which makes it recast again straight away. And then like a tick gets off as the Annihilate goes. So that fourth Annihilate hit was Barkskin and Survival Instincts as they died. And then I'm just going to take Cruel out, watching this Infernal, and then I'm just waiting for the next orb spawn in the middle. So I'm going to get one soon. Here it comes. I'm just going to run straight into it, and then I'm just going to finish Cruel off. Now, if I had have used Unbridled Fury, he would have been dead already, so that's a bit of a bummer. But there it is. He's dead, and I win. So definitely wasn't my cleanest attempt. I'd had better attempts where I'd wiped and had 2 orbs up that I just didn't manage to get to because poor planning with the cutters and things like that. But that's just the way this goes. And honestly, I know it's hard. But if you haven't got it yet on day 1 or day 2, don't be too upset with it. I think this challenge is all about comfort in the phases. So you need to do phase 1 enough where you are comfortable with phase 1, where you don't sweat what's going on and you can focus. Then you get into phase 2, and when you start getting to your 3 and 4 Annihilate area, that's when you really need to be able to sort of focus up on what's going and not make the mistakes you saw me make, with the ads by Incap Roaring early, because you're like, I got to Incap Roar here, I know what's coming up, and there's a puddle there, there's an orb there, there's a cutter coming through. You need to be in a place where you've done it enough where you're quite calm in dealing with what's going on there. So not afraid to say it. It took me probably nearly 100 pulls to get this. And there's some people that did it, in, I think Pumps, God X did it in 1 pull, and I don't think he had drums. But he's a different breed of druid. And you know, there's people that have just done it in straight Shadowlands gear and not used time walking, and then there's all ends of the scale doing this. But you know, don't be discouraged, just keep doing it. It actually is tuned, like I think it's tuned really fucking well. It's really, really tight. I know that's really unpopular opinion, and I will not be surprised if it doesn't receive slight nerfs. I hope if they do nerf it though, they still keep it as a challenging aspect, because I think it is really good for people to work towards this stuff, and then when you get it, to be really fucking proud of your achievement. And you know, getting this, if you've done it, then great job, and if you're working towards it, keep going. If there's anything I can do to help, hit me up in the comments below. Otherwise, I'm trying to get to every comment as quickly as I can, guys. And thank you very, very much for the support and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, thank you very much. Like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you all next time. See you, legends. We're going to do something a bit cheeky here, fam. Shadow melding. Oh, you